Until you can start. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Good evening and a very warm welcome to yet another session of Global Festival of Oneness 2021, celebrating Shankara, celebrating non-duality. This is Nitin Sridhar, Chief Curator of Advaita Academy. And let me begin with a small prayer. Sada Shiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavatyapta Dehaya Shri Dakshina Murtaye Namaha Shrutismati Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Loka Shankaram. Viewers, today we have a very special guest joining all the way from Singapore, Shri Karthikeyan Laxman ji. Very warm welcome to you, sir, and thank you for joining this session. Shri Karthikeyan ji was introduced to a structured study of Vedanta Shastra in 2013. It started with weekly Bhagavad Gita satsang sessions under the guidance of Shri R.S. Ravi, who follows the pedagogy of Swami Paramarthananda ji. After completing Gita and a few more Shastric texts, Karthikeyan ji, along with other fellow satsangis, are now going through an in-depth study of Viveka Chudamani. Since 2018, Karthikeyan ji has started to conduct Bhagavad Gita Satsanga sessions every week, and he has been actively involved in many other religious activities in Singapore, and is currently the president of 97-year-old Singapore Dakshina Bharata Brahmana Sabha. He has obtained, and in a professional field, he has obtained qualifications in engineering and management, and then is an internationally certified privacy consultant. Once again, Karthikeyan ji, a warm welcome to you, and now we are all eager to listen to your talk. So please start your session.
Hari Om. Thank you, Nitin ji. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Pranams to the lotus feet of Bhagavan and Pujya Gurujis. Pranams to the Devis and Mahatmas present in this session. Firstly, I would like to thank Advaita Academy for giving me the opportunity to share my thoughts on this topic, how Vedanta helps one to live a meaningful life, on the occasion of the global festival celebrating the life and works of Adi Shankaracharya, an individual who is considered to be an avatara of Bhagavan Shankara himself, and definitely the person who resurrected the Sanatana Dharma. I'm humbled to be talking amongst very prominent and eminent speakers. Coming to the topic, there are three key words in this topic: Vedanta, life, and meaningful. Let's first take Vedanta. Our scriptures or Vedas have two parts, Veda Purva and Veda Anta. The first part, Veda Purva, which covers rituals, karmas, pujas, and such, helps in fulfilling our desires. Putrakameshti Yagam by Dasharatha is one good example. The second part, Vedanta, also called Upanishads, gives in-depth knowledge on the topic of self-inquiry and provides answer to the question, who am I? The glory of this knowledge is that it is permanent, unlike all other knowledge which loses its utility value with time, and it provides liberation from the problems of the mind. The next word, life. What is life? Especially human life. Did someone wish to be born in the world? No. Life appeared or birth happened through his or her parents at a particular time, in a particular place and environment. And the reason for that is due to the past karmas of the individual. Our scriptures talk about the karma theory, or what I shall refer to as the bank account. And there are three different bank accounts: Sanchita, Prarabdha, and Agami. Until all the bank accounts get to nil, individuals have to go through the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth, which is called Samsara. And in each birth, the mind takes on a different body. Unlike Darwin's theory, which talks about the theory of evolution, our philosophy is like a game of snakes and ladders. If one does not lead a meaningful life during their living years, committing acts that go against our dharma, then in the next janma, that individual slides down to the bottom row of the board, meaning have a lower birth, may be born as an animal or a cockroach, depending on the accumulated papas and punyas. So one should be very fortunate to get Manusha Janma or human birth. And once one is born a human, one has to go through the experiences in the world, which are unique to them. It can be pleasant, unpleasant, one that you want, you don't want, expected, unexpected, and so on. That is life. There is a Sanskrit verse, Ahara Nidrya Bhayamaitunam cha Samanam etat Pashibir Naranam Buddhirhi Tesham Adiko Visheshaha Dharmena Hinaaf Pashubhi Samanaha. There are several characteristics common to human beings and animals: eating, sleeping, fear, protection or home, procreation, etc. What differentiates the human being? It's the intellect, or buddhihi, and free will. This unique thinking and decision-making ability helps the human see his or her life much more clearly and helps plan for his or her future. So the human being can decide on what one can accomplish during their lifetime. The scriptures talk about the four purusharthas or goals: artha, kama, dharma, and moksha. Acquiring wealth, enjoying the wealth, these two are perceptible. And then dharma, earning something that's not perceptible but can be inferred. And finally, moksha, which we call liberation. Liberation means emotional independence. And in the context of life that I mentioned earlier, moksha is freedom from the cycle of birth and death. With this background, let's look at what is meant by meaningful life. But before I address it, let me also spend a few minutes on what's in it for me question. Very, very important these days, What's in it for me if I lead a meaningful life? As we saw earlier, all of us have the Artha, Kama, and Dharma goal for getting peace, security, and happiness, or PSH. The PSH that we get from worldly things is fleeting or impermanent. It has beauty, variety, and novelty, but does not have stability. When one leads a meaningful life or intelligent life, then one gets an opportunity to know how one can get permanent peace, security, and happiness. So leading a meaningful life means leading a life that will help us get liberation from the dependence on external world for happiness, or simply put, moksha. With that background, let's look at a few pointers of how one can lead a meaningful life. First is leading an ethical life. That's the fundamental requirement of leading a meaningful life. The scriptures talk about ethics and gives a thumb rule. What you don't want others to do to you, you don't do that. It may be telling lies, causing harm, stealing, hoarding, being jealous, and the likes. And a year ago, we saw instances of people rushing to the supermarket to buy all that is on the shelf, including toilet paper, and behaved selfishly without thinking of the well-being of others, leading to even fights between customers, or not paying taxes, causing damage to public property, littering, and in these pandemic times, not following the guidelines of wearing a mask and social distancing. All are examples of unethical behavior. Our scriptures talk about 10 commandments in Sanatana Dharma, Yama and Niyama. Yamas, or moral restraints, are 5 in number: ahimsa, non-violence, avoiding harm; satya, truthfulness, which is avoiding telling lies; asteya, non-stealing, or avoiding the work of stealing; brahmacharya, celibacy, of fidelity; aparigraha, non-hoarding or grabbing, avoiding the grabbing mentality. So it's all about how one conducts oneself with others. The other measure of leading an ethical life in today's world is, if your action or actions get published in the newspaper or now social media, will it make you or your family proud? Imagine a video is put on the social media for being caught by the law enforcement officer for not wearing a mask inside a shopping mall. You know, in Singapore, where I live, people caught littering are told to wear a cleaner's attire and spend hours to clean the beach. So niyama, again 5 in number, are saucham, cleanliness; santosha, contentment; tapas, self-discipline; swadhyaya, self-study of the scriptures; ishvara pranidhana, which is surrender to Bhagavan. These are actions, as you can realize, at an individual level. So we've talked about the social level and at the individual level. So leading an ethical life aligned to nature's laws or the law of the land is the first step of leading a meaningful life. Next is leading a life of contribution. Human beings should put effort to lead a life of contribution, where they give more and take less, because humans by nature are selfish beings. Unlike animals and plants who are useful during their lifetime and in many cases, even after. Take the case of coconut tree. You know, it converts wastewater to a sweet, cooling drink. And the trunk is useful as pillars for building your construction, your houses and whatnot. The leaves can be used for making roofs. If you look at animals, let's take the bull. You know, during lifetime, it's used for plowing the field, pulling the cart, and after its death, the skin is used for making leather goods, which we proudly carry. Human beings, on the other hand, take from nature, but give back little or nothing. Many people don't realize that for a bowl of food to be kept in front of them at the table, there is contribution made by so many people in the food chain. The farmer who sows and harvests, the packers, the distributors, the retailers, and the person who cooks. It can be the mother, or these days it can be even the father. And very importantly, the cooperation and support of nature, the sun, the rain, the soil, the wind, so many things. This has to be made known by the parents to their children right from young. Many of them have a wrong notion that Sanatana Dharma doesn't talk about dhanam or contribution or charity. Our scriptures talk about yajna, dana, and tapaha, actions, charity, and austerity. Yajna in the form of Panchamaha Yajna, Deva, Pitru, Rishi or Brahma, Manushya, and Bhuta Yajna. Homage to the gods, homage to the forefathers, homage to the gurus and scriptures, homage to other human beings, and finally homage to other living beings, other living things. Then dhanam, it starts right from birth. Many people would know. When a birth happens in the family, scriptures say donate to the society. Same thing happens when death happens in a family. There is dhanam again. After you complete all the rituals, there is a prescription of giving dhanam. And we all know of annadhanam, the supreme charity. So during the life of the individual or in the earning years, set aside some percentage of net income to give to the charity organization of your choice. This will clearly set an example to the children when they become old and start earning. They continue with that practice. Parents who acquire and accumulate wealth and spend on their children excessively only spoil them. People should follow the examples of people like Warren Buffett or Azim Premji or many others who have all made and continue to make massive donations to various causes. I know of people who donate significant amount of their monthly salary to charity. Now, contribution need not be only with money. One can donate time. Instead of spending hours on social media or watching TV serials, Netflix and Hotstar, one can volunteer in a nursing home, temple, or it can even be to impart knowledge. Bhagavan Krishna in the 18th chapter says that he likes most those who propagate the knowledge of Bhagavan in the world. So contribution in the form of money, time, imparting knowledge helps an individual lead a meaningful life. Third is having a prayerful life, staying connected with the Lord. Who is ensuring that the earth is rotating on its axis and revolving around the sun? That there is rain to fill up the reservoirs or the rivers being full for irrigation? Somebody must be creating it, managing it, and as a matter of process, destroying it. So there must be an intelligent principle responsible for all that is happening in the universe. The scriptures say that this intelligent cause is eternal, and it also gets the raw material for creating the universe from itself, just as the spider spins its web from its own saliva. This principle, which we call Bhagavan or Ishvara, is responsible for providing the intelligence and the raw material for creating the universe. Actually, our scriptures call it manifest as and not create the world. So subtle difference, but very, very important. The famous Rudram and Vishnu Sahasranamam chants basically talk about this manifestation only. But mankind has taken things for granted, and instead of being thankful for all that is available in the world, mankind has exploited the nature for selfish reasons. In our house or office, when someone gives us something, we say thank you. We inculcate that practice in our children. Similarly, prayers are nothing but a show of gratitude, saying thank you to that Ishvara every day for all that he has given us and continue to give us. Many survivors of COVID have realized the importance of this free oxygen that we breathe. So seeing the world as a manifestation of the Ishvara will also reduce the turbulence in the mind, thereby reducing the 6 internal enemies as said in the scriptures: Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, and Matsaryam. Lust, anger, greed, delusion, arrogance, and jealousy. Because you see Ishvara in everyone. So another perspective is that many happenings in the world are controllable, but many are not controllable in our life. For example, you might be a strict follower of the traffic light rules. You're waiting for a walking man signal to turn green. A truck suddenly loses control and hits you. And lo and behold, you're in the ICU. Or we've heard of so many miraculous escape in a sure death situation. I personally have experienced a few. How is that possible? It's all the grace of God. We know Newton's law, right? In physics, every action has an equal and opposite reaction, meaning there will be some feedback for any action that you do. Similarly, for every action that we do, there is punyam and papam, as per our scriptures, depending on the type of deed that is committed. Our life is basically the fructification of this punyam and papam bundle accumulated over many janmas. It is said that each one of us have had as many janmas as the number of sand grains in a beach. So we all have a huge bundle of papam and punyam. So the effort should be to increase the punyam portion that gets fructified at the time we really need it. The fact that we are all healthy and not affected now, so that we continue to remain healthy. We can also say we need Bhagavan's grace for success in life. So that's another way of looking at it. You know, it's like the train that's going up the mountain requiring twin engines, one at the back and one in the front. Push and pull concept. So the 2 engines in our life are hard work or self-effort and Bhagavan's grace. So saying daily prayers or saying thank you helps a person lead a meaningful life. Shankaracharya's Bhajagovindam, verse 27 says, Geyam Gita Nama Sahasram, Dhyayam Sripati Rupam Ajasram, Neyam Sajjana Sange Chittam, Deyam Dina Janaya Chavittam. This verse basically summarizes the 2 points, which is a contribution and having a prayerful life. Next is moderation as a discipline. There is a Tamil saying, Alavakku meerinal amudamum nanju, meaning moderation is key. And there are a lot of facets to this. Moderation with respect to food, sleep, recreation, activities, and the likes. So do not indulge too much or get addicted to anything. And let me take one example which is very close to us. I'll delve a bit more deeper on that, which is food, which is very, very close to us. Our scriptures talk about the visible and invisible effect of food on a person. Many of you would have observed, sadly saying, a number of Sanatana Dharmis are consuming non-vegetarian food, which is considered to be rajasic and tamasic in nature. It is advisable that the food consumed is vegetarian and sattvic in nature, because sattvic foods are food that are balanced and calming in their nature. Also, as much as possible, we should be taking homemade food. One way of looking at the pandemic, a very positive way of looking at this pandemic is that gives an opportunity for the spouse, please note that, for the spouse who doesn't normally cook, to try their hand in cooking rather than order through, say, a Zomato or Deliveroo or whatever, So the cooks in the restaurants, making the food these days, who are catering to the Zomatos and the Deliveroo of the world, they're making the food under heavy pressure. And there's a good chance that the food is made with a cursing or what we call tamasic attitude. So it's not nice. The food that we consume comes with that. The other aspect, as said in the scriptures, is about the quantity of food intake. Scriptures say, fill 50% of the stomach with food, 25% with water or liquid, and 25% leave it as space. And it also says on the flip side, scriptures advises that too much of fasting is also not recommended, and it's not good for health. It same goes for sleep. A person should get enough sleep, typically 6 to 8 hours, to get regenerated. Talk to the doctor, they will definitely recommend that. One should not be lying in bed for more than 8 hours and should be up ideally while the sun is rising. Same goes with exercise and playing on the computer or watching TV channels or being on social media. Moderation is also required in professional life. One should be committed to their work, as Krishna says in the Gita too. Then the water can be channelized for irrigating the land, providing drinking water to the people, generating electricity. So it has a lot of uses once a dam is built. Similarly, once energy gets conserved when living a life of moderation, which can then be put to better use. So in summary, use the world as a pickle and not as the main course. So moderation is the key. The fifth aspect of meaningful life is channelize the sense organs. One should not fall prey to the sense organs. The sense organs are always exposed to the outside world, and constantly it's stretching the envelope of the mind and intellect. It's raising the desires and it pesters the mind for getting it fulfilled. One should channelize the energy of the organs of knowledge and organs of actions and reduce the indulgences. Because these days, the opportunity for indulgences have expanded dramatically. Hence, channelizing the sense organs in the right direction is very critical. They should actually remind us of the 3 monkeys popularized by Mahatma Gandhi. Scriptures present the example of the chariot with 5 horses being controlled by the charioteer. The chariot is our body, the horses are the sense organs, the reins are the mind, and the charioteer is the intellect. So the human being has to use the intellect to ensure that the mind controls or channelizes the sense organs in the direction of the higher goal in life. So in today's context, one can replace the chariot with the car. The reins can be replaced with the steering wheel, and the charioteer can be replaced with the driver. So you can easily relate it to today's situation. I also want to point out that scriptures do not recommend suppressing the desires. It recommends and suggests the individual to come out of these desires willingly. As Shankaracharya says in the Bhaja Govindam, verse 30, pranayamam pratyaharam nitya anitya viveka vicharam jhapya sameta samadhi vidanam kurva vadanam mahadavadanam. So channelize the sense organs in the right areas for leading a meaningful life. The last and the most important aspect I want to cover today, I want to touch upon for leading a meaningful life is equanimity. We are faced with choiceful and choiceless situations in life. How we handle these situations emotionally will determine our life. Equanimity when it comes to objects, situations, and people. That actually forms the world. The world is basically a combination of objects, situations, and people. So with respect to objects, each of the object has a value based on TRP, not the ones that you see on TV, but TRP is time, role, and place, and one should not get attached to the object. A diamond stone and mold of clay each have their value. When one has to make a necklace, a diamond has more value. If one has to create a container for keeping the water cool, the clay has more value. So be a master of objects. Objects do give comfort, but know that it does not give permanent peace, security, and happiness. When it comes to situations, one should treat or accept happy and sad, loss and gain, victory and defeat with the same attitude. Global economy and the service industry like hotels and airlines that depend on tourism have taken a huge hit because of the pandemic. Many people have lost their jobs. One can sit and whine or pick up some new skill and do something different until the pandemic, goes away. Finally, the people. The most difficult area to maintain equanimity. Very, very tough. By the way, it's not that we do not have this ability. We see, read, and hear about so many deaths due to COVID, but it doesn't affect us. But the minute it's about someone whom we know, then we get emotionally affected. Or even taking a happy situation. Why only the COVID? So many people or teams win matches. Right now the French Open is happening. So your favorite player might be winning. But it doesn't affect us. Someone else, let's say some other player is playing and he or she wins, it doesn't affect us. But, when your own favorite player wins or loses, then, it affects your mind. Similarly, when it comes to your own child or your favorite, as I said, the favorite team, wins a gold medal, we get very elated, or when they miss it, we get angry at the system or at the team. We get frustrated with the team. So in all the cases, maintaining equanimity helps us be calm and composed, helps us focus on the actions to be done, and so lead a meaningful life. Whenever and wherever there is a choiceless situation, scriptures say, develop acceptance, titiksha. Where there is choice, make an intelligent and thoughtful decision. Equanimity helps us keep our feet always on the ground. In fact, Bhagavan Krishna says in the Gita that equanimity is the first step to spirituality. And we can check our progress on equanimity by using the simple tool given by my Guruji, FIR, not the one that you see in police stations. This FIR is frequency, intensity, and recovery. For every situation, see how frequently it disturbs the mind, how intense it disturbs the mind, and how quickly one is able to recover from it. Lesser the frequency, lower the intensity, and quicker the recovery means one is leading a meaningful life. So those are the 6 points. So in summary, there are 6 pointers I've given you for leading a meaningful life. To summarize, ethical living, life of contribution, prayerful life, moderation in living, channelize the sense organs, and equanimity with respect to people, objects, and situations. These are just teasers and can be followed reasonably easily. But our scriptures give a lot more for us to follow, for us to get guidance. Now, the Bhagavad Gita is considered to be the essence of all the Upanishads. Sarvo Upanishado Gavo. As Shankaracharya said in Bhajagovindam again, Bhagavad Gita Kinchita Dita. Read a little bit of Gita. Then what happens? Yamanena Charcha. No discussion with Yama. Yama will stay away. Hence, study of the Gita will give all the important teachings, especially for those who wish to raise themselves in setting their life goals and lead a meaningful life. Age does not matter here. I know of people in our satsang who have come to study this text at, beyond 75 years old, have become completely engrossed in the text, applied the concepts to their daily life, and have seen tremendous results. For those who have gone through the Gita, the points I made would have rung a huge bell, and many would even be able to attribute to the specific verses, like equanimity is samatvam, samatvam yogam uchyate, chapter 2, verse 48. Or contribution is yajnadana tapak karma, chapter 18, verse 5, etc. The Bhagavad Gita, one of the Prasthana Trayam, the three sources of knowledge, presents a roadmap for liberation or moksha, which we saw earlier as the fourth Purushartha, fourth goal. And the roadmap being Chitta Shuddhi and Chitta Ekagrita as the preparatory steps, and then Jnana Prapti in 3 steps, Shravanam, Mananam, and Nididhyasanam. So living a meaningful life helps with the Chitta Shuddhi part. Like any management text, the Gita gives the concepts, the tools, the processes, the expected results, and in many places, the guarantee that if one is in this path, freedom from the worldly problems or samsara sagara is assured. And once the person attains this liberated state, and if that person is asked, Tat Tvamasi, thou art that, this person can confidently answer, Aham Brahmasmi, I am the Brahman, I am the infinite, I am ever complete, I am ever full. I trust you found the inputs useful to take small but important steps to leading a meaningful life, if already not on it. Any errors of omission and commission in my talk can be attributed to me. All the good that was presented are to the credit of the gurus, the scriptures, and to Bhagavan. Pranams once again to them. I thank you for the patient hearing and to Advaita Academy for giving me the opportunity to speak in front of an august audience. Hari Om. Back to you, Nitin.
Thank you, Karthikeyan ji. That was such a wonderful presentation. And one thing that that personally appealed to me was the fact that most of the time people have this great misconception that Vedanta means world denying. Vedanta means something to be taken up after post retirement. Vedanta is something that is too religious. We should stay away from it. But don't. What people don't realize is the concepts that you shared about samatvam, titiksha, shamadamadi, etc. That the shastras, the Shankaracharya and others say, they are very useful in a day-to-day life. They are what actually can can make a difference between leading a happy life and a stressful life, so to speak.
Stress-free life. You meant stress-free life. Yeah, absolutely.
No, I meant difference. They make the difference in the world whether we are leading a happy life by following that or a stressful life by not following that.
Absolutely, very nice. Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely true.
So it was a. I am sure this your talk was eye opener to a lot of them. Viewers, this is the time to put your question on Q&A box, and Karthikeyan ji will take them up. And we already have received a few questions. I'll just sort them out and I'll ask few of them.
Sure.
One of the questions we have received is that I am pursuing this Jnana Yoga, the Jnana Yoga path of Advaita Vedanta. What should be the mindset to go with it? That's one of the viewers have asked.
So the way I would like to answer this, and I think I touched a bit of it in the closing stages of my presentation of my talk. There are preparatory steps one needs to get prepared for getting the jnana. And there's also a process which we say this jnanam has to come by being with the guru for spend a certain amount of time, a specific stipulated amount of time under the guidance of a live guru. That's another important point here. But what I want to take a step back, it's about the preparation. It's about the preparatory steps. And the best example I want to give you is, if you want to have a good harvest, you want to have a good paddy harvest, what does the farmer do? He first plows the field, prepares the field, puts the fertilizer, and then plants, the sapling, or he puts the seed in it. So basically, he prepares the field and then ensures, it does the needful to, to water it and ensure, it's free from locusts and things like that, right? So he prepares the ground and takes care of the whole environment around the field so that he gets a good harvest at the end of the season. Similarly, if one has to be in that path, one has to get the knowledge, which is the ultimate. One has to prepare the mind for it. And the preparation part is that of being a karma yogi. So that's what I meant by chitta shuddhi, and that is what I meant by having a meaningful life. I hope I have answered the question to the satisfaction.
Yes, definitely, Karthikeyan ji. Another question we have is, what is the purpose in our life? Will we be able to get liberation by attaining Atma Jnana, by the pursuit of Atma Jnana?
Well, I mean, again, as I said, Krishna definitely guarantees that, right? So if one follows this, sometimes you can say 5 steps, sometimes 7 steps, depending on how you split it. But chitta shuddhi, chitta ekagrita, then shravanam, mananam, and nididhyasanam. If you go through the 5-step process, Bhagavan guarantees that. And actually in chapter 6, he says that, do not worry if you have not got jnanam in this janma, right? Yoga Brashta topic probably, talks about that. So as long as you are on this escalator, you're ensured that you will reach the top. Bhagavan guarantees that. And that's the conviction that we need to have. That's the shraddha one needs to have in the scriptures, on the Gita, on the concepts and the benefits that the Gita professes.
Wonderful. I especially like this comparison with escalator. It is always moving up. Even if we move few steps downwards, we'll eventually reach the top.
That's correct. That's correct.
That's a wonderful comparison. Another question we have received is, any advice about the method of meditation to be adopted?
Well, I mean, the entire chapter in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6, talks about the preparatory steps for even getting into, sit through the, through the meditative process. So I would recommend the person to go through, that aspect of the chapter 6, which discusses things in detail of preparing oneself, both externally, internally, and then if one sits into the in the meditative pose, what are the thoughts that one needs to get in and how one concentrates on it. So there's an entire process that's given in chapter 6 of how one does an effective and efficient meditation.
One question that we have received is that, considering the present day, the ongoing situation, I think they mean the pandemic and all. So, how to practice equanimity in such a stressful situation?
Yeah, I mean, I think the word used in the Gita is apariharyate. So if it's a choiceless situation, one needs to accept as it is. So one can't do, if one gets frustrated by it, it's not going to really help the situation. So as I mentioned in my talk too, if it's a choiceless situation, the best thing to do is accept it. accept as it comes. And the way at least I tell my kids is, if it's the best thing to do in such situations is do more prayers, build the mental strength, because prayers primarily help in building the mental strength. And that's the best one can do in these choiceless situations. So the acceptance is the key. And the way one can go about is, and the best, there's another example which we normally say, if one has to um, uh, um, um, be in this world, enjoy the river, or have to take a bath in the Ganges at Rishikesh and Hardwar, one needs to hold on to the chain that's stuck to the shore. Without holding on to the chain, if one gets to the river, one gets washed away, right? So basically, in these kind of choiceless situations, hold on to that chain, and then be in that river. You would still be able to survive, right?
Thank you, Karthikeyanji. We have one last question. I think I'm not sure whether I understand the question, but they are asking uh, between dana of a material nature, and the vidya dan, how to make a choice?
Could you repeat the question again? I didn't pick up the one word that you mentioned there.
Yeah, dan,
Okay, yeah.
Giving charity or dana.
Yes.
The
Yeah,
concept
dana.
of dan.
Yeah. Nitinji, I'm losing your voice.
Are you not able to hear me?
Now it's back. So please, could you repeat the question again?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I have an internet issue here. So the question is, if there is a combination of dana of material and gyan at a place, most people are not interested in the knowledge gyan part, which is the supreme dan. So how to reconcile this? How to reconcile the between charity of material objects and charity of knowledge? If I have to just put it in English.
So this is for an individual who's got both wealth and knowledge. So he's got to make a choice of what to give as charity. Is that the question? So it's from a giver side or it's from the receiver side? Nitinji, I'm not able to hear you in case you're speaking. Maybe the internet at your end is quite bad.
Yes, it suddenly got bad. So please go ahead. Yeah.
No, my question was whether this question is from the receiver side or from the person who wants to donate.
I think, yeah, I am not sure, but I think what he means is, how do we make a choice between giving material objects versus sharing knowledge? I think that is the question.
Well, I mean, it appears that the person who's asked the question has both with them, meaning they have both the wealth and they have the knowledge also. I mean, Bhagavan Krishna says, give both. I mean, that's the best thing I can, because there are so many people, as we talk about it, just 1 or 2% of the entire world today are what you can say, of the 7 billion people in the world, most of them are people with not many things in life. So if one has got the ability to donate wealth, sure, I mean, that's definitely can. But and if he has been fortunate to also have sufficient knowledge, then please do share that knowledge also with that. I mean, my Guruji, I mean, a lot of people, at least in Singapore, that I say, I mean, Singapore, as you know, is economically, well positioned in the world. It's in the top 5. So generally, people here are considered to be, in that sense, well, when you compare to the 7 billion people. So there are a lot of satsangs happening in Singapore. So people are reasonably, well to do. And they are, I know of many satsangs being conducted here. My own Guruji R.S. Ravi conducts maybe 5 or 6 sessions. So it's definitely, so one has been fortunate. Bhagwan has given them the fortune of both wealth and knowledge. Verily and very happily donate both. That's what I would say. Nitinji, again, I've lost your voice. And I've lost your video too.
Sorry for the interruption. I think Nitinji has lost his connection to Zoom. I think he has logged out. He has been logged out. He's rejoining now.
Yes. Maybe the other thing you can do, Nitinji, if you want, if the internet is bad, you might want to go on just audio mode and stop the video. That then would put less issues on the bandwidth.
Yeah, I think there has been some, internet is getting connected and disconnected. I hope you did not get distracted by this disconnecting on my side.
Not at all. Not at all. That's what we do, right? Chitta Shuddhi and Chitta Ekagrata, we said. So the mind has to be focused. So, so one has to put to practice what one learns, right? And we are not that, I've become an expert at it, but we are making some baby steps. We are at the bottom rung of the elevator, escalator, as I said. We're slowly making up, going up the chain.
Thank you, Karthikeyanji. It was a wonderful session and it was a wonderful conversation. Extremely enjoyed it personally as well. And on the behalf of entire Advaita Academy and all our viewers, we sincerely thank you for taking your time and giving this lecture in our global festival. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Hari Om. Hari Om to everyone.
Viewers, with this, we come to a conclusion of yet another session. Tomorrow morning, we have a wonderful talk by Swami Tattva on Advaita Bhakti, Sri Shankara and Madhusudana Saraswati. It starts at 7 a.m. If you have not registered, please join. And we will be showing 2 announcements regarding courses that we are doing. One is this course called How to Attain Moksha that Advaita Academy is organizing along with Indica courses. It will be taken by Shri Karthikeyan ji, who will be so pleased to register for this. And Advaita Academy is also pleased to give 50% scholarship to Vedanta Sadhaka courses. The details are on your screen. So anybody interested can apply for these as well. So with this, we conclude today's session. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha.